Hi, my name is Alan Bracken, and we're continuing our discussion on high performance mindset. We've defined it as the deliberate pursuit of being our best regardless of our circumstances. We've started out with a why. Why are we wanting to perform at a higher level? We've moved into identifying our thoughts, journaling whether we're having freeing thoughts or tormenting thoughts. Then our third discussion, we talked about what can we do to replace those tormenting thoughts. Now, in this discussion, I'd like to talk about taking responsibility personally for our thoughts. This could be the biggest challenge. Now, we've been aware. We've brought heightened awareness to our thoughts. Now, I want us to dive in and really take responsibility. The question is this: what are we going to do with the awareness that we have? And it's up to us. If we choose to blame, we're going to go down the path of tormenting thoughts. Let me give you an example personally of me having to take responsibility early on in my marriage. You know, I told you my why was to be a good husband, and I've talked about that in our past discussions. And I was so bad at this, and so didn't want to take responsibility and wanted to pass the responsibility on to my wife in this story I'm getting ready to tell you. She wanted flowers, and you know, as men, we know that women like to have flowers occasionally, and it sends the right message that they're important, they're valued, they're worthy. And so I told her in my stupidity, and really looking back, it's a lack of me wanting to take responsibility. I wanted to put it off on her. Here's what I told her. I said, well, baby, why don't you go ahead and put that on the calendar? Put it on the calendar when you want flowers. Can you imagine? What was I doing with that? I was saying, hey, I don't want to be responsible for this marriage, and whether it works out or not, I want you to be responsible. And that's putting the blame and the responsibility on someone else. What I've noticed is it's human nature. It's easy to do. A lot of people do it. I have a tendency to revert back to that at times. But we'll never reach our highest potential when we shift blame. We have to be willing to take responsibility. Brian Tracy says that we can eliminate negative emotion if we will take responsibility and not blame someone or something. Now, our tormenting thoughts are negative emotions. So, one of the keys to not having those tormenting thoughts is taking responsibility. Take responsibility is difficult. It's challenging. It's not always fun, but it is critical. It is very necessary if we want to be our best, if we want to perform at a higher level. At work, I was so quick to blame other people for lack of growth. And I can remember early on the journey of personal growth and leadership development, I was so excited about it, and I was excited about people changing. But I wanted to put more responsibility on them than on myself. I was saying, it's clear you don't want to change. And I would blame them instead of looking at what could I do. Now, this whole growth accelerant is a passion of mine because when I took responsibility for where I wanted my people to go, things started changing. Now, it was slow, but if I would have never taken personal responsibility as the leader and said, what can I do to help you change? What can I do to help you think in the right way? It would have never started to shift for me. And when I took responsibility and started equipping them to the best of my ability, I wasn't perfect, but I did the best I could. And things started to change. Things started to improve. They started to put the stuff we were talking about into practice. It helped them in their personal life, and clearly it helped them at work. And when we take responsibility as leaders, things start changing. When we take responsibility as individuals, things start changing. I want to remind us that it's our responsibility as individuals to develop and be clear on why we want to perform. You have to take responsibility for that. I can't give you that. That's personal to you. But it's critical. It's critical if we want to perform at a higher level. It's critical that you take responsibility to journal, to determine what are your freeing thoughts and what are your tormenting thoughts. It's your responsibility to replace those tormenting thoughts that are destructive, that will eventually lead to lack of performance, eventually lead to a life that's not reaching its potential. It's very important that you take responsibility to replace those thoughts with thoughts that are going to help you. Now, I really do wish that I could do that for you, but I can't do that for you. But you can. You can take responsibility and you can choose to have the faith and the courage that it takes to do what I'm talking about. It's not easy. It's going to be difficult. But with heightened awareness, we can slowly move in the direction that will help us perform at a higher level. It's up to us. Wayne Dyer says, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at begin to change. And if we will look at things through the lens of responsibility, we're responsible for our thoughts. We can do something about them. When we take responsibility, things start to change. And the challenge in this session is this. Take responsibility. What are you specifically going to do to take responsibility for your thoughts? Now, I want to give you a tip that may help. Find someone that you trust, that you know, that has your best interest in mind, and be open and honest with them in the area of your thoughts, and have some accountability there. That can help. I know it helps me, and I hope it can help you, but more importantly, just come up with some specific action items that you can do to take responsibility for your thoughts. And when you do that, you will begin to perform at a higher level.